Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships. And I'm not going to have a particular Friday highlight video today. Instead, I'm going to highlight saving a game, where there are definitely times in World of Warships where a defeat or a victory can be dependent upon yourself. And so here you're going to see a glimpse of that in one way that is quite normal in World of Warships, and that is revolving around standard battle. Where each team has one cap, and if the enemy team captures that cap, it's an immediate loss for the team. So in being here on Two Brothers, we are on Radar Minotaur, 10-kilometer radar. It has a nice super heal, but extremely fragile, which is going to make today's game a little more interesting, on top of the fact that we have a Valparaiso coming up the channel. Now there's probably a few different things to play around here, but the Valparaiso poses a very large threat if he's not dealt with. So the question becomes, how do we deal with him? How do we set ourselves up here in a way to help? You know, the first thing is trying to rely on team. So we're pinging the map saying, hey, we need to get this guy. And our Alaska is already on it. He's already moving in to assist me, which is great. Let's see if I can't sneak some shots on Iowa in the meantime. But probably what we could have done here, personally for myself, is set up a little bit better with our torpedoes, because we do get lots of torpedoes. So it'd be kind of hard. This side of the opening of the channel is a lot harder, because you can see that we actually get spotted beforehand because of how low the island is there versus the other side, which is better to torpedo from. So what we're going to do here is just like, basically we want him to come further out. So that we can get torpedoes off of him, but he can just decide that he's going to sit right at the mouth of the channel, stepping right into the cap and capping our base out and forcing me to have to push out further. Now I have to say, this Alaska makes an insanely good decision what he decides to do here. Part of the reason why I'm taking longer to just go ahead and push out and torp in is because when you feed the Valparaiso the secondary ribbons or a kill, he's able to get the funny button off, and we don't want him to get the funny button off. So instead we're going to step out and we're just going to start shooting. Our Alaska is going in for it. And I'm like, okay, now I can get torps off. Get another rack. And then we realize he's going for the ram, which is honestly the best decision he could have made there, given the circumstance. Because if you allow a Valparaiso to live, I'm going to have a video in the near future of like how to kill a Valparaiso, like a really short video, not a like long 20-minute video in depth, but just like a couple of pointers. But definitely one of the ways to kill a Valparaiso is ramming him. It's taking his hit points all in one concisive strike. And naturally for Alaska to have I don't remember the name of it. The combat signal that gives you more damage when ramming an enemy. I think it's 50% more and then 20% less when receiving damage from a ram. So that is a clutch combat signal to take here in that regard. So he plays it really well. Now, in the meanwhile, as you're paying attention, we're losing the flank here on this 7 to 10 line. So that's going to force us to push back. It's only going to be a matter of time before it looks like the enemy team might finish off the other cruiser we have there at C8. So essentially we're turning ourselves into a torpedo boat at this point. Now, Brisbane's a little bit better in that regard than having the longer range torpedoes, 13.5, but on 10 kilometers, it'll do just well. And I'm kind of hoping to bait the Des Moines to push in here. So we'll just have to try to see what we can do with our 10-kilometer torpedoes. I party target, you see we have 4 targeting us, so that is not good. It does look like our cruiser friend is able to get behind the island in time up there to the north. And basically, our team is winning the opposing flank. Now, if you look on the mini-map, you can see they're really committed on the one line. We have, they just killed the sub over there as well. So when you kind of push yourself to the extremes of the map, it makes it really difficult to assist with the kind of games you can have here in standard battles to get back and defend the cap. The further away you are, the more difficult it is to try to like step in and help. Now we've taken the Citadel there. We're not going to be able to heal a lot of the Citadel damage back, but we do need to slow their push as much as possible. So I'm willing to kind of take on this French sniping battleship. I'm torpedoing back towards the cap because that's the concern, right? So you can see I'm purposely putting torpedoes down in such a manner that if they decide to rush onto the cap, we should be able to get torpedo hits here. So we're going to go ahead and pop a heal early, just in case. Yeah, we took a bit of damage there, so this is getting a little bit harder for me to continue to take sustained hits from the battleship there. And kind of evaluating here, seeing what the team's doing. It probably would be good to already like spam, hey, defend the base. But you can see, there's one torpedo, but our team is getting off the one line. Looks like we have some coming back, responding to the pressure, which is great. And I decide, hey, if we're going to have a good chance, I really need to contribute in trying to whittle down the hit points of this enemy ships. The big problem here for us is having the battleships. You know, we have the Iowa 406s, the Alabama there with 406s. So I really do need to be mindful as much as possible and respect that, because it overmatches our armor everywhere. We'll just basically take a citadel from any what direction. So we have to be conscious there. So we will push back in to utilize our 10-kilometer torpedoes again. You can see when you look on the mini-map, our 10-kilometer torpedoes only go like halfway into the cap. And they still have an enemy destroyer somewhere on the loose who was last spotted on the 10 line. And looking at things, it looks like he's just stepped onto the cap, because the surface ships are all spotted outside the capture zone. So we're going to have our hands full here. Our team is, so far, they are responding well to the presence on the cap. You know, you want to be not too... The big problem here is the destroyer, because we're just not able to spot him. And so for me to utilize my 10-kilometer radar really means I need to get in there and spot him. But it's a little difficult. I don't want to jump right on that right now because of the presence of both the Iowa and the Alabama. I need to respect that, and the fact that I can't heal any more damage back right now when we're rocking 25,000 to 45,000 hit points. So we're just going to torp into them. And there you see the Jaeger torpedoes coming across the cap there. They're in sets of 3. So it tells me he's somewhere down there in front of the Des Moines is what I would guess. But I can't torp him because he's just too far away. So we're just going to cool our jets. Our team is able to take out the Valparaiso, which is great. That's one less enemy battleship to deal with. Ideally, I would really like for us to get rid of the Iowa, in particular the Napoli, which Napoli is where I'm particularly focusing my torpedoes on. And also when we had the Alabama getting further in. Because of the, how would you say it? Because of the SAP secondaries. Now, you're going to have our Hawaii who's moving in, and I thought for sure our Hawaii was just going to motor right on into the cap. But we're going to have to see what goes on there. So Napoli takes a torp. Will he take 2? No, not quite. Now's the time to go ahead and open up because we're spotted anyhow. Let's get rid of him. And it's going to take the Jaeger longer to capture the base the more we keep resetting the ships that are on the base. So what would work best for him is for his teammates not to push onto the cap at this point. He'll be able to cap quicker because he's getting delayed with us all resetting it. So in that regard, take that advice if you are kind of, let's say you're the red team in this situation, then you need to try to give your destroyer some space and not step onto the cap and just let him do his deal. And flipping the base if he's doing just fine with that. Now it kind of works for us out really well here because the enemy team's kind of continuing to yellow into us. And when you're looking at the Hawaii's kind of chilled out now. Hawaii has a massive hit point pool, and so he can definitely utilize that to his advantage. And he's not. He's decided to kind of play the light cruiser, be back behind the island. So realistically, what it looks like here is that we're going to have to be the one to step onto the cap because we're in the best position to do so. Taking out the Napoli was huge because once you're able to take him out, I'm basically just able to push right back into here. So the team's doing well in focus firing, but the big thing here is getting on the cap. Usually what I see in these kind of scenarios is that teammates can be afraid to lose their hit points. Why does hit points matter when you will certainly lose the game if the enemy team is able to flip the capture zone? So I do play Radar Minotaur, 10-kilometer radar, as I said earlier, and so I'm going to just pop that radar and we're going to sail straight Linus. The other big problem I see is a lot of people like to play with their rudder, like a destroyer will play with the rudder shift, zigzag to get onto the cap. Like, no, just sail straight line. Like, you bleed so much speed, and you give the enemy team more seconds to potentially cap you out. So sail a straight line into the cap as much as possible. But we have forced the Jaeger off the cap. We have pulled a clutch move. Even though I don't really like to be a Minotaur pushing into Des Moines, but as long as I kind of angle my armor, you can see he really wants to Citadel me. I'm going to trust that my team can help focus him down. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on this Jaeger because I want him gone. So I'm not going to worry about shooting the Des Moines right now. So he is still using his AP, still hoping to get Citadels. He just would have been better off if the Des Moines would have fired high explosive. I would have definitely popped a heal back in that regard then as well. And that Jaeger kind of got himself caught in this little cove here. So I'm trying to push in the distance and we'll pop our 5-kilometer hydro. But as you can see, team is happy, +1 compliments all around, saving the game. Which, I mean, with the Des Moines there alive, there was only 3 versus 8. So there was no necessary reason, Musashi being cheeky there, for us not to, you know, put a more pressure on the cap, especially the teammates who have a more robust hit point pool than myself. That would have been more favorable than me kind of having to stick my neck out there. I mean, as you can see, the Hawaii definitely has a massive hit point pool. It's over 70,000 hit points, and he has a lot better armor than myself. So don't be afraid to get in there, get your hands dirty, especially when the game is on the line. So then we just end up switching our focus here to the Musashi. The Jaeger is just going to run at this point. Hawaii is pushing in towards him as well. But that was definitely a close game. I wasn't sure if they're actually going to cap us out there before I was able to spot and get the Jaeger off the cap, or at least reset him. So that came in real handy there. So we're going to spam the M key a little bit. We're trying to see up over the island. And we haven't had a lot of damage necessarily so far, so the Musashi is definitely going to help us out with that. We've got the 3 kills and some torp hits. But we want to stack on the damage more so now as much as possible. We do have a U-190 who's been, I think he was actually surfaced and was capping them at one point. But now we need to get in there and help support him. And that Jaeger could easily be sailing right down towards the cap, hunting for our submarine. So another good reason to try to get in there and help out here. Our Alabama's giving us a bit of a push forward, which is like, hey, that works great. I'll just use that to be able to get turned around here. And our Italian cruiser friend smokes up. We're fine. We did burn a heal previously just in case we took a hit, that we had more hit points at our disposal. But I am complimenting the Jaeger. That was really close and what he was able to do there. So rather than rubbing salt in the wound, like, because that was really close, like, he did a really commendable job there, all said and done. And we're going to yoink the Musashi. Musashi's off the board, and then there's the Jaeger. So the Jaeger was definitely responding to the cap pressure down here, and Musashi's upset. It was definitely looking in their favor early on, but the team really came together. And can I again just say how clutch that Alaska was for just ramming the Valparaiso outright? Like, he wasn't afraid to just die for the good of the team. So that was a really epic move there by Senior Alaska. So good to see that. Good to see the team come together and focus fire and respawn just in time. But we each have our part to play, and ours was definitely getting on the cap just before they flipped it over. So we're gonna get Dreadnought of all the things with almost 130,000 damage with the 4 kills. Some assisted indestructions there as well. So and then some flooding. Not usually much incapacitations do you get with a Radar Minotaur, or even with a Smoke Minotaur. We're second on the team, 1800 base XP with our submarine, who gets the base XP multiplier compared to any other class in the game. He's going to take number 1, and then you can see the progressing order. So I kind of feel bad that Jaeger, I think he scored second from the bottom on the enemy team. It's like, yeah, he didn't flip the cap, but he was definitely contributing quite massively there in forcing us as a team to respond. 56,000 damage in total with 1.3 million potential damage, so it's not ideal that you want to take lots of even potential damage in Minotaur, but it happens, like, especially when you're playing a Radar Minotaur. I like playing it because it feels more teamish when you're a Smoke Minnow. you tend to kind of be more reserved. Maybe I would have just smoked outside the cap and just would have kept shooting at the Des Moines and never would have set foot in the cap, right? So sometimes I think smoke and concern of hit points definitely holds players back from making some game-winning plays like you saw today. So if you liked this video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.